What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Billionaire's Mindset. I go by the name of Harry Billion. And we got breaking news. Vice President Kamala Harris has chosen her vice president running mate. And we're about to talk about that. Tim Walz is going to be her running mate. So we're going to talk about that right now, guys. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that we can see, I can give you the information right away. All right, so this is coming from the Daily News. I am in New York, so I use the Daily News. Kamala Harris taps Minnesota Governor Tim Walz for VP. So let's learn a little bit about who he is and why she chose him. And then we can have a conversation about what we think about it, give our opinions, and whatnot. Kamala Harris has picked Tim Walz as her Democratic vice presidential running mate as she seeks to build on a remarkable surge of enthusiasm in her run for a history-making White House win. Tim is a battle-tested leader with an incredible track record of getting things done for Minnesota families, Harris said in a text message to supporters. He will bring the same principled leadership to our campaign. The popular Minnesota governor could give Harris a critical edge across the battleground Rust Belt states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, which would be the easiest path for Democrats to reach 270 electoral votes. Capping a frenetic selection process, Harris tapped Walz, a popular and progressive ex-high school football coach, as Democrats seek to ride a wave of enthusiasm after she replaced President Biden at the top of the ticket. The newly mint Democratic ticket will appear at a rally in Philadelphia later Tuesday ahead of a week-long blitz of battleground states, including the Rust Belt states of Wisconsin and Michigan, where Walz could help moderate and rural voters who have turned away from the party. The pick tees up the fall election, pitting Harris and Walz against former President Trump and his vice presidential sidekick, J.D. Vance, or as some would call it, Shady Vance. Yo, politics is a mean sport, boy. I do college football, and this is worse than college football, I'm telling you. Walz 60 was once seen a dark horse for the number 2 spot, but burst out of the VP stake pack in recent days on the back of waves of enthusiasm from Democratic base. All right. A folksy Midwest native with an edge, Walz famously coined the weird attack on Vance that has helped boost fundraising. Oh, okay. So he coined the weird attack on Vance. So he coined him as weird. So that helped to boost fundraising and polling numbers since Harris launched her campaign just 2 weeks ago. The Trump campaign wasted no I'm going to say time. They said team here, but the Trump campaign wasted no time slamming Walz as far too liberal for the heartland, including a jab that he has tried to transform Minnesota into a chillier version of progressive California. The Harris-Walz California dream hold on, excuse me. My screen just jumped here. Okay, here we go. The Harris-Walz California dream is every American's nightmare, said Trump. What is going on? Said said Trump spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt. So I want to know what you guys think out there. Let's learn a little bit more. Actually, I want to learn a little bit more about this guy. I have no idea. All I know, I just heard about his name. I just, right? Have no idea what he did. I know we just learned that he is a former football coach. But what else? Let's copy this. Give me a second. I pulled up some information so we can learn a little bit more about this guy. All right. All right. So let's see what more we can learn about him. Tim Walz is Minnesota's first governor. 41st. I'm sorry. Tim Walz is Minnesota's 41st governor. He was first elected governor in 2018 and won re-election in 2022. His accomplishments from his time as governor including providing universal free school meals for students. You want to raise your hand? Anybody out there want to raise their hands? I definitely benefited from those free meals, even though I was actually reduced lunch. All right. But I could have definitely used the free lunch because you know how it works, right? Your parents actually make just a little bit more than they necessarily need to, but it's not liquid cash, right? So they make just a little bit over the mark, and you have to go to reduce. So you got to pay. I forgot how much we had to pay, either $1 something or something under $1, and sometimes we just still couldn't afford it. So that free lunch, man, that free lunch actually is something that I can say, thank God that we have free lunch. All right. My family wasn't poor, but it was just like there's a lot of families out there that are actually feeling the pinch, especially how prices are going up nowadays. But yeah. All right, so he provided free lunch for students, protecting reproductive freedom, strengthening voting rights, laying the groundwork to get Minnesota to 100% clean electricity by 2040, cutting taxes for the middle class and expanding paid leave for Minnesota workers. Throughout his time as governor, Tim has prioritized making Minnesota the best state in the country to raise a family. Now, I do know a little bit about Minnesota because I myself I'm a Liberian, and a lot of Liberians live in Minnesota. I know it's cold, and a lot of Liberians live there. That's as much as I know about Minnesota. So I don't know too much about Minnesota, but apparently he's doing some good stuff about Minnesota. I would like to have somebody come on here that actually lives in Minnesota, that knows a little bit about Tim, and can come on here and talk about it with me. But anyway, born in a small town in rural Nebraska, Tim's parents instilled in him the values of public service, generosity toward your neighbors, and working for the common good that guide his commitment to Minnesota today. After high school graduation, Tim enlisted in the Army National Guard. He attended Chadron State College and graduated with a social science degree in 1989. Tim spent a year teaching abroad before returning home to serve full-time in the Army National Guard and eventually accepting a high school teaching and coaching position. While teaching, Tim met his future wife, that would be Gwen Whipple, who taught at the same school. They moved to okay, you guys are gonna have to forgive me if you know what I'm saying. I'm botching a lot of these names, all right. Mankato in 1996, where they worked at Mankato West High School, or where they worked at Mankato West High School. In addition to teaching social studies, Tim helped coach the Mankato West football team that won their school's first state championship. Okay, this guy's a winner. That's for sure. After 24 years in the Army National Guard, Command Sergeant Major Walz retired from the 125th, from the first 125th, I don't know how to say that, 1-125th Field Artillery Battalion in 2005. Tim won his first election to the United States House of Representatives in 2006 and was re-elected for another 5 terms, serving Minnesota's first congressional district in southern Minnesota. All right, so that's a little bit about Tim Walz, who is now going to be the running mate for vice president and presidential nominee for the Democratic Party in the United States of America. Governor Tim Walz is going to be the running mate. So it's going to be Harris Walz. I think that's how they're going to do it for politics. For the ticket, it should be Harris Walz. That's how we're going to see it. But go into the comments. If you're just watching this, guys, go into the comments. Let me know if there's anybody out there that is familiar with, that lives in Minnesota. If you are familiar with Minnesota government, the local government, and you understand what type of effect or what type of effect that Tim Walz had on that local economy, please chime in. We want to have a pretty nice conversation about that. What he did for that local economy, because if he is going to be on this ticket, we want to know what type of person he is, because obviously this is politics. So we want to understand, well, one side is going to paint him this way because he's on the ticket. The Democrats are going to paint him this way, but we want to get a full understanding of who this guy is and what he's going to be able to do, because like they usually say in politics, he's going to be one breath away from the presidency. So any information that you have out there, any testimonials, I would definitely love to get that. And I'm actually going to post the I'm actually going to post the link. Let me see here. I'm actually going to post the link to the discussion, or I'm going to post a link to the panel, and I want to come on here and discuss it. If you know anything about Tim, please come on here. Let me see if there's any more information that is out there. All right. This is definitely breaking news. Definitely breaking news. So if you have any information about Tim, if you know Tim, if you live in the Minnesota or around the Minnesota area, and you have any information about Tim Walz, you know what type of person he is, I would definitely like to hear from you. But yes, so Tim Walz has now been tapped as Tim Walz has been tapped as the next, or as the running mate for Kamala Harris. Let me see here. Give me one moment here, guys. So some of the things that I've been hearing, because so this is how I feel, right? I feel like there's a lot of people out there that, some people have come out and started name calling, and it's so interesting because for some odd reason the Democrats, let me know if you're out there, let me know. But for some reason the Democrats have they always take the high road. It's always the Democrats that have to take the high road, right? Because the second the Republicans learned, the second that they learned that President Joe Biden was going to be dropping out of the race, and they learned that Kamala Harris, the Vice President Kamala Harris, was going to be taking over, it's like they went straight to the dirty name calling. They're calling her a whore. They're saying cockatoo, and she slept her way all the way to the top. I mean, even prominent Black people have come out to say that she slept her way all the way to the top. And I'm like, I'm really scratching my head, because the first thing I'm thinking is, where is the decorum? Let's deal with the decorum. Because you're supposed to say, you often say that you are the party of decency. You are the party that upholds the standard of the country. What is the standard of the office of the vice president or the presidency? Because one side is always going straight for the jugular, like just straight name calling. And then these prominent black people always calling names. And I'm like, what are you, like, you're calling names, right? But if she is incompetent, right, let it show. Let it come to fruition. You will tell whether she's a good orator, she's a good public speaker. We're going to find out. But when we resort straight to the name calling, we just jump straight to it. I find it to be kind of weird. Doesn't make sense to me. It does not make any sense to me. We just go straight to the name calling, and I just find it to be just this thing. Like, I wonder why they always do that. I wonder why Republicans do that. Now, this is not no Democratic well, I don't necessarily work for the Democratic Party, and I don't adhere to everything that the Democrats do. For the most part, because I can't vote, I'm a foreigner. My family votes Democratic. But if there was sensible ideas on the Republican side, I wouldn't mind supporting those sensible ideas. I actually, like, some of the conversations that I've had, I think John McCain was literally the last of what they call the Mohicans, because I felt like John McCain was probably the last decent Republican that ran for president. All right. I'm not saying all Republicans are not decent, but as far as people running for the presidency, I felt like John McCain was the last one to run for president. And then after that, we got Trump. And now it's like we're in this weird bubble where truth doesn't matter anymore. A lot of things don't matter anymore. And it's weird to me because when I look at it, the last thing I heard, the last thing we talked about was Michelle Obama actually wearing short sleeve, and the Republican Party actually calling her names and saying she was a whore. So I'm like, okay, so if Michelle Obama was a whore and all these things just for wearing short sleeve, and you guys are supposed to hold the standard, then what do you call Trump? Then how exactly do you know? So now Trump comes into office, and then naked photos of his wife are leaked out there in public, and we're okay with that. It's like overnight we just don't care anymore. It is okay. And then you got prominent Christian organizations. I think it was Pat Robinson and others. They were like, he's not. They started making excuses for Trump and saying, well, he's not the pastor in chief. He's the commander in chief. And I'm like, wait a minute. 1 second ago, we were making a stink about Barack Obama not being a Christian, being a secret Muslim who was going to take over the country. But now Trump comes in and he's making all these derogatory comments and saying all of these things. And now we're saying, well, that's okay now. Like, I don't understand it. Politics is a dirty game, and I understand that you have to play dirty to try to win. But if you're supposed to be the party of decency, the party of Christianity, not everything that the Democrats do that I like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, okay, at the end of the day, let's look at this. You got Kamala Harris, who is inviting Meg the Stallion or Megan the Stallion or whatever, and she's twerking on stage. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Let's not do that. We're not inviting her on stage twerking, and some of her lyrics are no good. So let's not do that. So you're kind of caught in the middle. If you are a Christian, you're kind of caught in the middle. The Democrats are doing a lot of good. The Republicans are doing some good, but sometimes it's overshadowed by a lot of the rhetoric of Trump and the people that support him. And he's not denouncing the most far out racist people. He doesn't want to denounce them. He knows it ain't right. We all know that Trump knows that it ain't right. But because of the politics of the day, because of those people that supported him, he has to keep going, and he won't denounce them. Because the second that you come out and you denounce those people, then all of a sudden you're going to lose that whole base. So he's playing into that. We know that Trump is not all the way racist, but he's playing to the racist people in order for him to keep everything that he's doing. And that's not right either. So it's like, where do you go? If you are a Christian today, where do you go? How do you even survive politics in this country? There's nowhere to go. I want to know more about this guy. I want to know more about Tim Walz. And I would like to know more about Tim Walz, but the politics of today it's a really dirty game. There's two sides. It's like they want to divide us to the point where we don't even recognize each other anymore. You can literally have a division in your own family, and you are walking around and eating dinner at the table. And I can only imagine that people at the dinner table not speaking to each other, not talking to each other, because politics is so dirty and so divisive in this country. You are sitting there, and this person is like, oh, I'm a Democrat. That person is like, oh, I'm a Republican. And because of, okay, we don't even want to hear anything good that Trump is doing. Nothing. We don't want to hear nothing that he's doing that's even good, right? So because it's so divisive. And then you don't even want to hear anything good that the Democrats are doing because it's so divisive. I don't adhere to any of that because I'm a Christian. Where do you go if you're a Christian in this nation? In the Christian nation, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where do you go? What type of conversations? People don't want to have the hard conversations. The second you mention Trump, nope. The second you mention Democrat, nope. People calling Kamala a whole bunch of names. It's like, yo, politics is so divisive. So divisive. What I would like to do is just provide a safe place for people to come and have a conversation. That's what I would love to do. I would love to provide a safe haven, just like I do for college football. I want to provide a safe haven where people can come and have these tough conversations without screaming at each other, going back and forth at each other, and just cursing each other out. If somebody have a good point, I want to hear it. Whether I agree with them or not, I want to hear it. If somebody has any good ideas, I want to hear it. So just like I do for college football, I want to do the same thing for politics. That's why I came up and I made up this channel, and I came up to start this channel because I know enough about politics to do damage. Like people say, I know enough about politics to do damage. But I want to do the same thing that I do in the college football arena with TLP Sports Club. I want to do the same thing for a billionaire's mindset because people need a safe place to talk. I think that's where we start the conversation. If we want to make this country, because everybody always say, oh, the country is so divided. We want to make the country a better place. And if we're all countrymen, and we all have the country's best interest at heart, then let's provide a space or spaces where people can come and debate ideas without screaming at each other, without being ready to cut each other's heads off. And if the idea makes sense, then we can say that's a pretty good idea. If it doesn't make any sense, then we just say, all right, up out of here with that craziness, right? On either side. So that's what I would like to do. I would just like to just have discussions, and I'm going to do this pretty often. When something happens, I'm going to come on here and I want to hear people out, because what we do in this country, if you're a Democrat, then you have specific channels that you watch. If you're a Republican, you have specific channels that you watch. CNN tries to be neutral. I would say MSNBC cable news is for the Democrats. Fox News is for the Republicans. And we just stay divided. And then some of us go to church together. I find that to be so weird. Some of us go to church together. So, one second, guys. I find it to be so weird. Like, how can we be so divisive, but then when something happens in our communities, we say we want to put down the politics and we want to help each other. Why we can't continue that every day? So this is that safe space. I want to make that safe space here for individuals to come, you know, and be able to have a conversation with each other. Hopefully it works, because I know it's going to get nasty. I know it's going to get crazy, but we can't keep waiting for Superman to come and do it. I watched Roland Martin. I'm gonna tell you, I watched Roland Martin, and I watched Roland Martin, and I watch other channels. Oftentimes, and I'll say this, Roland Martin is doing a really good job with providing information for the community. But oftentimes, I find Roland Martin to be yelling at his guests when he doesn't agree with them, to like he's over talking his guests when he doesn't agree with them. And I'm sitting back sometimes, and I'm like, man, this is, I wish that there was a place where most of these people can go to have these conversations and not be yelling at each other. How can we make change? Because I'm gonna tell you what I found. This is what I found. I found that a lot of the politics has to do with people wanting the next person to agree with them. And I don't know that anybody's ever going to agree at all. If you don't respect somebody's positions, they're never going to agree with you. If you don't respect somebody's position and how they think or what they feel, they're never going to agree with you. So that's why I'm like, sometimes I sit back and I think, I'm like, yo, how are we ever going to get somewhere? Because everybody is screaming at each other. We're going back and forth, and you're screaming, I'm screaming. We're all screaming at each other. So how are we ever going to get anything done? How are we ever getting anything done when everybody is screaming at each other? And I'm thinking, I'm like, yo, I don't know that this is not healthy. Politics is not a healthy thing in America. But people like myself and others, we can create spaces where people can come and we can talk ideas. And I'm just going to prophesy over this channel. There's not a lot of people here watching me. I'm just here alone for myself right now. But I'm going to speak a word of prophecy over this channel. This is not going to be a Democrat channel. This is not going to be a Republican channel. It's not going to be an independent channel. This channel right here is going to be a channel that provides a safe space for people to come and share ideas. And I decree that it's going to be one of the most popular spaces on the internet where people are going to come to share their ideas. All right. We're not going to get crazy, but this is going to be one of the spaces where people are going to come and we're going to respect their ideas. We're going to respect their opinions, and we're going to have a clean discussion. And I'm going to provide that space just like I do in the college football realm. I'm going to provide that space, and I'm going to monitor it to the point where we can hear people out. Now, if it gets crazy, obviously I'm going to have to stop people. But if it gets crazy, then obviously we're going to have to stop some people. But it just bothers me that we all want the same thing. We all want that. We all looking for, maybe we don't all want the same thing. We're all looking for something similar. Maybe we don't all want the same thing. And yes, there are bad people out there. There are racist people out there, but not everybody can be racist. It's not just, it doesn't make sense. Everybody's not racist. If you're white, you're automatically racist. If you're black, then you're automatically Democrat and you're a thief. And all of these ideas, people are just, on both sides or all kinds of sides, and they're casting stones, and we can't get nowhere. But change is here. I'm telling you, change is here. Okay? We're gonna have discussions. Change is here. You may not like to hear some of the things I gotta say, and sometimes I may not want to hear some of the things you got to say because it's so far out. But change is here. I'm tired of waiting for Superman. I'm tired of waiting for that right person or that right platform to just say the things. I started to say something. Let me finish that. So I believe a lot of the today's politics is sort of like black in America, right? Not necessarily just black in America, but what we as human beings, we have this flaw, this natural flaw where we need somebody to agree with us or we don't leave it alone. So this is the thing that I've been seeing recently. You got Roland Martin and others when Trump went to the National National Association of Black Journalists. When he went there, I believe when he went there, you had Roland Martin and others screaming, "You're not asking the right questions." Or when you ask this question, stay on the question. Stay on the questions. Let him tell you the truth. And I kept thinking, I'm like, that's not how this works, Mr. Roland Martin. That's not how this works. Because it's not a debate. You invite somebody in your house to have a conversation, you can't badger them. I know that you're trying to do a journalistic work, but in journalistic work, it's not a debate. If somebody refuses or is trained as a politician not to answer questions, you're going to have to respect the fact that they're answering your question in the way that they want to answer their questions. So you can keep asking the same question, and sometimes you have a limited time with this person. You can continue to ask the same question, but I submit to a lot of people out there that we want them to agree with us. And may I tell you, they're never going to agree with you. It's like some black people in America where we're looking, there's a big chunk of black people in America that's just waiting for white people to say, "I'm sorry for this racist thing that my ancestors did to you." And it's never going to happen. Never, ever going to happen. I'm not saying all black people are doing that, because there's a big chunk of black people that have decided that they're just going to move on. They're not going to wait for nobody. They're not waiting for nobody to give them anything. They have moved on. So, but then there's that other group that just can't wait for white people or somebody to apologize or agree with them that the pain that they felt is real. So those two clash all the time. And then I see this online where I watch channels like, I listen to people like Candace Owens, I listen to The Angry Man, and I'm watching these different channels, and I'm like, they're trying to interpret something that is happening in the black community, but they're all getting it wrong. They try to paint this broad brush with all black people wanting handouts. And I'm listening, and I'm like, that's not how this works, bro. You got it wrong. You got, this is not, no. You cannot paint this broad brush, because black people, or like people say in politics, we're not monolithic. We don't all think and act the same. So when you're painting this broad brush in black people, I know exactly what you're doing. You're playing the clicks and views game. That's what you're doing. You're playing the game of clicks and views. So what it ends up sounding like is as if you are against your own people. So you're playing that game, and then you're pandering. In turn, you're pandering to a group of people that don't like black people. So I hate when that happens. I really hate when that happens. Oh man, my blood be boiling, and I just be like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. Like, stop doing that, bruh. My blood boils every single time I see one of these channels that want the best for black people, are trying to articulate how black people can move forward. But when they're doing it in a way where they're pandering to outside groups. they're talking down to us to try to reach us. You see what I'm saying? Man, that stuff hurts my feelings so much, because then I start thinking, all right, Candace Owens, tell me what you've done, after the talk. Tell me, Candace Owens, what have you done in the Black community to change the things that you don't like about it? Because if all we're going to be doing is talking, and you're not out there doing the work, and you're constantly listing the issues that are in our Black community, if you're constantly doing that, but you're not out there actually mobilizing, because now you have a platform and you have money. If you're not mobilizing people to do the work that you're constantly talking against, then what is your purpose, and why do you keep continuing to disparage our community? I don't mind that you have good stuff to say every now and then. I like the fact that you have some good stuff to say, but you take the clips that are controversial and you run them online, because you know that people have strong feelings about their community, so they're going to react. People naturally react to negativity, not positivity. So I hate the fact that you pander, but I want you to highlight the good that you do. Sometimes it's hard, because I think I heard Charleston White one time say, when I was doing the good work, y'all weren't paying attention. But it's when I started acting like a fool, I started doing all these buffoonery things, that's when y'all started paying attention. So you know what? This is what I'm going to give y'all. And that's unfortunate that he has to do that. But that's how it is. Because like I said, I work in the college football. I have a channel in the college football realms, and I get some of that stuff too. When I put out content that benefits everybody, people don't care. But when it's the content that is salacious, that's when people watch the most. So thousands and thousands of views from those videos. And it's unfortunate. But we have to find an equal balance. We have to find balance. I think that's what works. We have to find a way to have balance. One second, guys. Because if we don't have balance, then what's going to happen is we're going to look like we are against our own community. And the thing is, some of y'all are comfortable being against your own community, or sounding like you are against your own community. And that ain't fair. Because if you're trying to do good, then like the Bible says, don't let the good that you're trying to do be spoken evil or bad of. We can go to the Bible straight up. You see what I'm saying? I don't want the good that you're trying to do for the community to be speaking evil of. Because the good that you're trying to do may benefit us, but you do so much bad that at the end of the day, we cannot hear the good that you do. And then you're constantly trying to tell people that you do a lot of good for the community. But if you're doing a lot of good for the community, and then the bad that you're doing is overshadowing the good, then what benefit is the good that you're doing for the community hold? Not a lot at all. There's not a lot of benefit. I often wonder if people are doing what they're doing for their community. I wonder if they're doing it for the benefit of the community, or for the benefit of their checks. I get it, man. I really get it. I'm mature enough and I'm wise enough to understand that People do stuff because if I'm in a situation, like I'm a creator, right? I'm a content creator, I'm a YouTuber. And if I'm not growing, and then I come to a place where I make a statement and one group starts to pay me attention. They start showing me attention and start showing me love. There's going to be times where I start to pander to that group. And then I come to find out that this group does not have my community's best interest at heart. But because I need my channel and I need the revenue that I have from my channel to continue to go, then I continue to do and pander to them. And sometimes I just don't understand why people do the things that they do. It could be out of desperation. It could be out of frustration. It could be out of being jaded because for so long, because there's so many ignorant people in our community. There's a lot of ignorant people in our community. The ignorance are sometimes even more loud than the people trying to make some sense and bring some changes in our community. So I'm trying to find a balance. I'm trying to find a place where I understand how to help people without disparaging my own community. So here we are. Here we are on this channel. Here we are. Just this is the beginning of something great that's going to happen. This is the beginning of something major that's going to happen. Like I said, I'm prophesying over this channel being one of the best channels where people can come and have a conversation about things that are happening in our community and have a voice. All right. I'm not going to give voice to the foolish, but I'm going to give voice to people who wants to be heard and they have something to say. We don't always have to agree because we love to be caught in our echo chambers, and people like to, we have these confirmation biases. We want people to confirm the way that we're feeling. So we go to the different areas in our society or in our communities where people feel the same way. If I had a thought, right? It's like I always say Killmonger versus Black Panther. And I always use the example of Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X. You got one group who wants to stay angry. They want to stay mad. They want to do what they want to do, continue to be mad, and somebody to give them, to apologize to them and say, I'm sorry for what we did to you. And then you got the other group that just says, you know what? I don't care. I'm moving on. All right. I'm moving on. And I don't care if anybody's going to tell me sorry or give me anything. I don't need anything from anybody. I'm moving on. So the wisdom that God has given me, I want to be able to use. I want to use that wisdom to serve my community. But my goal is to bring people together. It's not to divide like we've already been doing. So if somebody's out there looking for an echo chamber of Democratic ideas, or somebody's out there looking for an echo chamber of Republican ideas, this is not the place for that. This is definitely not the place for that, because there's going to be time where I speak against both, where I don't like nobody twerking on stage. So Meg Thee Stallion twerking on stage, no Democrat. I don't like that. Those values, I don't adhere to those type of things. I know why you're doing it and you're going to do your thing, but I'm not for that. I don't want my kids watching that. Not at all. And we're not going to have no convicted felon as president either. All right. I don't care how you feel about that. We're not setting no principle to have no convicted felon as a president. What is that going to do for us? You're a convicted felon, so you can't travel certain places. It's going to be the first time that a convicted felon becomes president of the United States. We're not doing that either. All right. And if you're a Christian and you support LGBT rights and stuff like that, there's one thing to support LGBT rights. They're human. They're legit human rights or human ability to be able to do stuff in the community, versus going against what the Bible says about marriage and all of those are different things. All right. So if you're a Christian and you adhere to certain things, you just know that both sides are going to have issues, but then you got to weigh the majority of the issues that actually support the things about your community. All right, because I think us as humans, we divide ourselves without listening to people. You can love somebody but hate their behavior. You see what I'm saying? I can love my family member but hate their behavior. So that's just how I feel as a man. Like, but you got to stand on something. Oftentimes, we live in a world where I have to agree with you before you and I can get along, or before you and I can be civilly living in the same spaces. I don't agree with that. I don't have to agree with you, but we're going to have conversations. I just wanted to drop this news off. I just wanted to drop off this information, this news on the billionaire's mindset, to let you guys know that this is the vice president nominee. I mean, this the vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris, has tapped Tim Walz to be her running mate, and I don't have any issues if I was to choose between a convicted felon versus somebody y'all are calling a whore and all these crazy things. I suggest to you, if you're a Republican and you are adhering to the Republican talking points, look at the records. Look at the records, and not don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the tricks. If you look at the records will guide you. All right. And if you are Christians, if you are Christian and you don't like the twerking, I say look at the record a little further, because on both sides there's a lot of dirt there. So how do you make a decision? I can help you make that decision. I can help you with that. On this channel, we're going to do that together. All right. So keep that in mind as you go on your day. And hopefully this information was valuable to somebody. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Please smash that subscribe button if you are in the comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts. For those of you who are out there who like a space where you can have a conversation, I invite you to become a member of the channel. I go to a white church, and right before I went to the white church, before COVID, I was at a black church all my life. All right. So it's not easy to be in an echo chamber of the black community, especially listening to people that have really strong ideas. It's not easy to go from the echo chamber of the black community, the democratic community, and go to a place where people may have different ideas, or to go to an all-white church. It's not an easy thing. So it takes a lot of soul searching, a lot of understanding to just sit in that sanctuary and listen to the word of God coming from somebody that you're not used to listening to. But if you are mature enough in your Christianity, or if you are mature enough, you can allow people to be who they are and not treat them like they are not humans at all on either sides. And it's sad that we have to keep saying either sides, because there's a lot more than black and white in this world. Sometimes we don't even get to the heart of the issue or the heart of matters, because we can't get past our biases, and we can't get past our differences. And that's sad. But I hope to provide a voice for you. So thank you for joining the community. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, and welcome. Welcome to the Billionaire's Mindset. All right. I go by Harry Billion. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Welcome to the Billionaire's Mindset.